Ever feel like the internet is magic?
Mm-hmm.
Data's zipping around websites, just like popping up
Yeah.
like some digital genie granting your wishes.
Right.
Well, today we are pulling back the curtain
Okay.
to understand a bit of that magic.
Okay.
Specifically, how computers find each other on a network.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing a deep dive on routing statico,
Yeah.
using this lesson plan you've provided.
Yeah.
And don't worry, we'll translate all the tech jargon as we go.
It's fascinating. This lesson plan isn't just about the what, but also the how. It's structured to give students hands-on experience,
Oh,
almost like they're budding network engineers.
exactly. But before we fire up the virtual servers,
Okay.
let's set the scene. Imagine a city, right?
Okay.
Busy streets,
Right.
cars needing to get to specific addresses.
Yeah.
That's your network.
Okay.
Data packets are the cars, each with a destination in mind.
And just like we use addresses in the real world, computers on a network rely on IP addresses. They're unique identifiers that make sure data ends up in the right digital mailbox.
And to organize all this digital traffic, we have subnets. Think of them like zip codes for the internet. Breaking down a huge network into smaller,
Right.
more manageable chunks
Yeah.
makes things way more efficient, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, for those data cars to navigate this city, we need a system.
Okay.
Something like a roadmap. And that's where routing comes in.
And the lesson plan focuses on a specific type of routing scatico.
Yes.
Sounds a bit like a spell from Harry Potter, doesn't it?
It is. It's magical in its own way.
Yeah.
Imagine a city planner meticulously drawing out each route on a physical map.
Okay.
That's essentially what static routing is, manually setting the paths for data to travel across the network.
So no fancy algorithms or self-driving cars in this scenario?
All right.
It's all about precise,
Yeah.
predetermined routes.
Yeah.
But why go old school, especially with all the cool tech we have today?
Control.
Okay.
Security. Let's say you're a small business owner,
Okay.
and you need to make absolutely sure that only authorized computers can access your sensitive financial data.
Right.
Static routing lets you create a dedicated, unchanging path for that data, minimizing the risk of any unexpected detours or leaks.
Okay, so it's about locking down those routes.
Yes.
Making sure your data is taking the most secure path. Makes sense, especially if you're dealing with super sensitive information.
Right?
But this lesson plan doesn't just tell you about static routing. It actually lets students try it out, right?
Absolutely. And they use VirtualBox,
Okay.
which is essentially a program that lets you run a whole operating system on your existing computer.
Oh.
Like having a mini computer inside your computer.
Wow.
They're basically building a mini network right there on their machine.
A digital dollhouse for computer geeks. That's a pretty cool way to learn.
Yeah.
And they're doing this all on Linux, which I'm told is what the pros actually use, right?
That's right. Think of it like this. Learning to drive on a stick shift makes you a more versatile driver.
Okay.
Similarly, using Linux for this exercise equips students with skills that translate directly to professional environments.
Okay, so this lesson plan isn't messing around.
Yep.
It's giving real-world, applicable skills. But before we dive into that,
Okay.
let's take a step back and clarify. How is routing statico different from, just regular old routing?
It all comes down to who or what is in charge of setting the routes those data packets take. With static routing, it's all done manually by the network administrator.
Okay.
It's about as hands-on as it gets. But there's another approach, dynamic routing.
Okay, so if static routing is the meticulous city planner, what's dynamic routing? A free-spirited wanderer.
You could say that.
Right.
Imagine having a GPS in your car that constantly monitors traffic conditions, road closures, even suggests scenic routes. That's dynamic routing. It automatically learns about network changes and adjusts the paths data takes on the fly.
So it's like having a self-updating map for your data.
Yes,
Sounds pretty high-tech.
it definitely is. But each approach has its own strengths. Static routing gives you that unmatched control and security,
Right.
while dynamic routing offers flexibility and adaptability. It's all about picking the right tool for the job. It's like choosing between a scenic back road, by heart, and a highway with live traffic updates.
Right.
Both can get you where you need to go,
Yeah.
but the best choice depends on your priorities.
And to really understand the nuts and bolts of how these routes work, this lesson plan has students build a virtual network.
Yes.
They're diving right in, getting their hands dirty, but in a safe, simulated environment.
And this is where we see the brilliance of this teaching approach.
Okay.
By using virtual machines, students get practical experience with the same tools used in the real world.
Yeah.
It's not just theoretical, it's building that muscle memory.
Very cool.
Huh.
Now, this lesson plan does mention a key command used in static routing on Linux,
Right.
pip route. I'll admit it sounds a bit intimidating.
Yes. It's really not that scary once you understand the concept. Think of it like this.
Okay,
It's how you give explicit directions to your data.
go.
This command tells the router, if you see data going to this specific destination, send it this particular way. No detours.
Okay, so it's the take a left at the digital oak tree instruction for your data.
Exactly.
Got it. But we're not just talking about the friendly side of networks today, right? This lesson plan delves into some security aspects as well.
Absolutely. You see, understanding how static routes work also helps you understand potential vulnerabilities.
Okay.
For example, virtual private networks, or VPNs, often use static routes to ensure your data travels through a secure, encrypted tunnel.
So it's like building a secret underground passage for your data, keeping it hidden from prying eyes.
Exactly. However, just like any secure passage, there's always the risk someone might try to intercept the traffic.
Now you've piqued my curiosity. What could go wrong in this scenario?
Well, imagine someone setting up a fake toll booth along that secure tunnel we talked about. They might look official, but they're actually intercepting your data, potentially stealing sensitive information or redirecting you to dangerous locations.
Yeah.
This is essentially what happens in a man-in-the-middle attack.
That sounds seriously shady. And this can be done using static routes.
It's a possibility, yes, because static routes dictate the exact path data takes.
Right.
An attacker can manipulate those paths, forcing your traffic through a server they control before it reaches its intended destination. It's all about knowing how to spot those diversions.
So it's crucial to be aware of these potential vulnerabilities, even if we never plan to set up our own secure networks. Knowledge is power, right?
Absolutely. This lesson plan doesn't just equip students with the how of static routing, but also the why,
Right.
highlighting both its potential and its pitfalls.
It's like learning about both the medicinal and poisonous properties of plants. Fascinating and a little bit scary at the same time. But before we wrap up our deep dive into the world of static routing, I want to loop back to something you said earlier about dynamic routing. It seems like such an elegant solution, always adapting and optimizing. Why would anyone ever choose static routing over that? Dynamic routing does seem like the ultimate solution.
Yeah.
Kind of like setting your GPS to avoid tolls and like automatically rerouting around traffic jams.
Yeah.
So why would anyone opt for the manual control of static routes?
That's a great question, and it highlights the trade-offs inherent in any technology. Remember, dynamic routing thrives on flexibility and automation. It's constantly adapting based on the information it gathers about the network.
Right, like a self-driving car that's always learning the most efficient routes.
Exactly. But that reliance on real-time information can also be a vulnerability in certain situations.
Oh,
Think about it. If someone can manipulate the information that the dynamic routing system uses,
yeah.
they can potentially manipulate the routes themselves.
Okay, I see where you're going with this. It's like feeding your GPS bad data
Yes.
to make it take you on a detour.
Exactly.
A detour that might lead you right into a trap.
Precisely. In highly sensitive environments where you need absolute certainty about the path your data is taking, static routing provides that level of control.
Right.
It might be less adaptable, but it's also less susceptible to external manipulation of routing information.
So it's a trade-off between flexibility and security. It's like choosing between a self-driving car that can navigate any terrain,
Right.
but might be tricked by a fake detour sign,
Right.
and a trusty old stick shift that you know will take you exactly where you want to go.
That's a great analogy, and it underscores the point that there's no one-size-fits-all solution in networking.
Yeah.
The best approach depends on the specific needs and constraints of the situation.
This deep dive has been eye-opening. We've gone from data packets zipping around like cars in a city to the strategic decisions behind routing that traffic.
Right.
All thanks to this incredibly insightful lesson plan.
And what I find most impressive is how this lesson plan goes beyond simply explaining these concepts. It empowers students to build their own virtual networks,
Right.
giving them a taste of what it's like to be a network engineer.
Right. They're not just learning about static routing, they're experiencing it firsthand.
Yes.
That's a powerful way to cement those concepts and inspire a deeper understanding.
Absolutely. It's learning by doing,
Yeah.
and that's always the most impactful approach.
So as we wrap up our exploration of routing statico, what is one key takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with?
Whether you're a tech enthusiast or just starting to explore the world of networks, understanding the fundamental concepts of routing, how data flows, and the decisions made to guide that flow is incredibly empowering.
It's like being able to read a map, even in the age of GPS.
Hmm.
It gives you a deeper understanding of the world around you, and in this case, the digital world we all inhabit.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe this deep dive will spark a passion for someone out there to explore the fascinating world of networking even further.
Right.
There's always more to learn, more to discover.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Thanks for joining us as we explored the intricacies of routing Statico. Until next time.